Hi, welcome to the Sew Along 2020 with a distinctly Australian flavour. We're using some wonderful Australian design fabrics put out by a company called Nutex, who are actually a New Zealand company. But they've got this wonderful Australiana look to them. We've got some galahs and kangaroos and koalas and wattle flowers and all sorts of fun things. As well as that, we've got this design for a quilt that you'll know about because we're doing the Australian Sew Along. We've got some appliques coming up, we've got some patchwork. It's going to run over 20 weeks and it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a download each week for those 20 weeks, and there'll be another video to go with each download, so 20 videos as well. This is number 1. So I just wanted to quickly run through as we're just getting started with the fabrics and things. The fabrics, as I said, have got a very nice Australian flavour to them. Plus we're doing some Australian applique. So what I suggest that you have yourself a folder so that as you download your notes each time, you've got somewhere to put them. And I'm suggesting that we do some cutting of strips and labelling them. So you'll get a sheet of labels in your pattern as well, so that if you want to do the same thing that I'm doing, that you can keep track of things. Rather than having to cut everything from scratch for every block every week, I thought if we had a whole series of strips already cut to just delve into to cut our shorter lengths from, that would be quite helpful. So I've gone ahead and I've done all that. I've labelled them all, as you can see here. Hopefully you can see there, they're all just laying on my table, but everything's labelled. So we're using a soft grey and a white for our main background, two mixed, specifically mixed in the design. And then we've got lots of other colours here. We've got these wonderful galahs and kangaroos and koalas, very Australian, and the wattle, plus some other wonderful dotty designs that are typically Australian, and a stripe that goes with everything. So cut all the strips, label everything, and then each time we're making a block, we'll delve into those strips, and the instructions will tell you which ones we're using for which block. Now you may be using quite different fabrics, and that's absolutely fine. We're just happy to have you sewing along with us, but I needed to start somewhere, and this is where I've started. There will be some fabrics not cut into at this stage, and then plus some other leftover pieces from our cutting, that hang on to all of those because we'll be using a lot of that for the applique to come. So this is all strips ready for patchwork, then we'll be using some of this for applique as well. We're doing some fun applique, as I said. So I think that's probably all you really need to know to get you started. I think it's all there. You can email me anytime on susanclaire@gourmetquilter.com. There's information on the website about the Sew Along if you haven't already signed up on GourmetQuilter.com. So please do have a look. Other than that, we're going to get going on block 1 so that we can just get ourselves started. So this was the sheet here of all the cutting that we're going to do and the label. So we've suggested that you label them, or the suggested labelling is down the sides, and the sheet of labels is in the download. And then for block 1, we're simply making just a square block. So in the quilt there's a few of these different ones, and they use different fabrics. So we're just going to start off, there's 4 of this one that I've used with this wonderful fabric with galahs, which are a little bit like a cockatoo, but they're galahs. So we're doing 4 of those blocks this time. So the instructions here tell you to use fabric from the strips that we've cut, and it tells you what sizes we need for 1 block. So you'll just need to multiply that by 4 each time so that you know. And it tells you you're going to make 4 blocks there. So that's a good way to get started. So I've laid out a block here so that you can see hopefully how it's going to go. We've got the galahs in the centre, and then we've got some soft grey strips are going to go around it. And I put always the sides on first and then the top and bottom. I find that works really well for me. And all the way out, the routine becomes a routine. And then we've got a wonderful stripe, sides first, top and bottom, and then the white background. So we've got the grey background and the white background, both of them in there, and it just gives it a little bit of subtle movement to have those couple of colours, even though they're a little bit similar. So I'm just going to go ahead. We're working with just 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've got regular 50 weight cotton in my sewing machine, a regular sewing needle. I've got a 1/4 inch foot on the machine. Other than that, let's just get sewing. So I'm going to sew the sides onto my centre square first. And you could chain piece these when you're making the 4, but I've actually already made my other 3. A little bit cheating, I think. and then so that's the two sides. I always like to press everything as I go. Just going to snip that long thread off. I find that pressing helps enormously when you're doing any type of patchwork. Things just sit really nicely for you if you press everything each time. I find is probably the best way. Oops. So I've done my sides, and now I'm just going to put the top and the bottom on. And as you can see, it's fairly straightforward. Some of the pieces may seem like they're a little bit small, which is, for some of you possibly they are. They're not too small to work with. If you've got a 1/4 inch foot, or you can do a nice 1/4 inch seam, that helps a lot. Everything will sit really nicely. And now I'll put the bottom piece on, and then we'll press that as well. So you can see you get into quite a nice rhythm, and as I said, you can chain piece your 4 blocks at once, so it doesn't seem to be so much of an effort that way, if an effort's an issue. So I'm going to press that as well. And the other one. And so it should just build out evenly all round. So we've got our first frame on, the soft grey. Now we need to put the stripe on the sides and the top and bottom. So I'm going to go ahead, I don't think you need to watch me sew all the strips on, and I'll come back and just talk to you at the end so that you can just see it all finished. So I've sewn my last top and bottom piece on the last round with the, in this case, the white fabric. It's looking pretty good, this block. These fabrics just look delicious. The colours are coming up so nicely. So there's our block done. As you can see, it's very similar to this other block that I've already made. The birds have moved just a touch, other than that. So I've actually already made my other 2 as well. So I now have my 4 blocks made for our part 1 or week 1 of our 20-week sew along with this Australian flavour. Please do join us and have some fun doing this. I have to say that Australians know how to have fun, so let's join in this Australian fun. Thank you. There was more information on GourmetQuilter.com.